Hi, this is Mark Sokolow. I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for over 30 years. I'm teaching business law at San Jacinto College. Before that, I taught political science at Lamar University and Lamar State College. Today, we're going to talk about exempt bonds. If you're a business, especially an industrial business, one of the things you need to do is go out for financing. Now, you can go to a bank and get a loan, and you'd say you get a loan at 10 or 12% interest. The interest is actually taxable on those notes. Now, another way of doing it is going out in the bond market and try to get exempt bonds. In those cases, the interest is not taxable, and it's a good way of attracting more people to actually buy your bonds. Now, what we're going to talk about today is an exempt bond of about $50 million that was facilitated by the Port of Port Arthur and by the City of Port Arthur. Please enjoy the video and the documents we're going to be looking at, the resolution that approved it, as well as the IRS regulations. Thank you. This is the Internal Revenue Service Compliance Guide for Tax-Exempt Private Activity Bonds. It basically gives you a essentials of what it's all about, and really when cities go out for bonds, the interest on the bonds is not taxable. This gives you a little bit about the background. It's really just a 15-page description of the program. This publication provides an overview for state and local government issuers and borrowers of bond proceeds. It also talks about tax-exempt bonds for companies that are affiliated with government entities. Qualified private activity bonds are tax-exempt bonds issued by a state or local government. Also, they apply to bonds that are just really approved by state or local governments for certain projects. There is a limit, a volume cap for these type of bonds. The type of stuff that are projects are airports, docks and wharves, environmental enhancements of electric facilities. They give you a list of projects that they want to be facilitated by these type of exempt bonds. There's a 95% rule that 95% of the bonds have to be used to finance the qualified purpose for which the exemption is granted. Now let's go to a resolution that approved this project. This is resolution number 09-076 that was approved by the City of Port Arthur. Basically, that we're looking at the approval of $50 million and exempt facilities revenue bonds that are going to be facilitated by the Port Port of Port Arthur for the Total Petrochemicals expansion. This was a major expansion in the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the city, or the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the city is simply a part of the city boundaries where the city can actually annex it. And in this case, Total had a facility adjacent to the city of Port Arthur that they want to expand. And of course, the city wanted this project to expand, and as well as to enable new construction jobs for Port Arthur workers and for Port Arthur companies, and it was bringing a lot of dollars to the local community. Now this is where they're allowing the city officials to approve it, and the bond issuance to go to the offices and have a public hearing. But we're also conditioning it that the city's approval of these bonds shall not, just simply because the city approves these bonds does not mean that the city is liable for the payment thereof. The only parties that are going to be liable for these bonds is going to be Total Petrochemicals. Again, this was approved by resolution number 09-076 by the City of Port Arthur, and you receive a full copy of it by going to the City of Port Arthur's website. Here's a letter that was sent to the city where they're asking the city to participate in the $50 million bonds. And under the law, the city is supposed to have a public hearing and receive comments. The purpose of these bonds is to fund major improvements to the existing plant operations. The bonds were scheduled to be go closing on March 26, 2009. Having the agenda language for the public hearing, approval of holding certain public hearings relative to certain private activity revenue bonds to be issued by the Port Arthur Navigation District for the benefit of Total Petrochemicals USA, appointing hearing officers thereof, and authorizing the mayor to approve such bonds for certain federal tax purposes. So technically, these private activity revenue bonds was being issued by the Port Arthur Navigation District for the benefit of Total, but the port is really a conduit, and the people that are really going to be liable for these bonds is going to be Total. And that's it on this tape.